This is 94.3 WRHD-FM, Farmville, Washington, Greenville. Broadcasting to the Pirate Nation and beyond at 943thegame.com. It's 5 o'clock in Pirate Country, and it's time to get pumped up with the P-Man. Hit the door and hit the road. 94.3 The Game is going to get you home, and the P-Man's not holding back.
Yes! Yes! Pirates win! Pirates win!
Bring on the Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game.
Holy mackerel! Oh, my goodness!
The flagship station of the ECU Pirates.
Okay, well, what a day it has been. Some days you wake up and you're always thankful you wake up, but then you are looking at, all right, well, what are we going to talk about today? Cookie's always hit me up wanting to know what's on the show and what's going on. And there's some days we know well in advance what we're going to do and what we're going to talk about. Some days the show writes itself. Other days,
I like to be
not so
informed,
much.
man. You said it well yesterday. You got to talk to people smarter than you, right?
Correct.
And I don't have someone smarter than me, so I got to settle for you.
You got to settle for me. There you go. But this has happened a couple of times in the last couple of weeks. Something just emerges. Something happens. An update. A new story comes out of the blue, and that was this morning with the LIV golf thing. I'd kind of just finished my morning rounds of work and was preparing to have a little late morning breakfast cookie. And
was late morning, was that 4:30?
No, it was 10.
Oh, okay.
10. I'm doing this, eat my meals within a certain time frame.
Intermittent fasting?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
And I was sitting down to do that, and then boom, all of a sudden, we got sent the story from CNBC that there was the merging of the PGA and LIV golf. And I looked at it, and I kept looking at it, and I thought to myself, I wonder if this is, a hoaxy kind of thing, or how much, it really had behind it. So I put it towards a couple people in the golf world. One of them got back to me and said, it's amazing what you can create with AI. So, and then it started to develop, and other people started to pick it up. And then there was this great lengthy CNBC interview with Jay Monahan, the commissioner of the PGA Tour, and also Yasir Al-Ramian. I may have that totally mispronounced, but the PGA Tour and LIV will merge. That's the long and the short of it. That is our breaking news.
Breaking.
This just in. Breaking news.
This is a special report on 94.3 The Game, the flagship station of the ECU Pirates. Here's Patrick Johnson.
Everyone, a little breaking news for you.
All right. So according to CNBC, the deal would see the end of pending litigation, and I think that's the big thing at play here between the PGA and LIV Golf. The Saudi-backed LIV Golf, of course, sprung on the scene a couple of years ago. The PGA responded by revoking the tour cards of the golfers who competed in LIV. Once rivals, now they will combine into a new, yet-to-be-named company. The agreement also includes the DP World Tour, known as the European PGA Tour. The three groups will create a fair and objective process for any players that want to reapply for membership to the PGA or DP World Tour after the 23 season. Just see if there's anything else from the wires on any of this that's come. Of course, the players are having a meeting right now with Jay Monahan, the PGA commissioner. We'll see how long. This is huge. I sort of think Formula One racing versus tennis. Both are international sports. Formula One kind of has that team concept, has the concept of, everybody under one umbrella in a sense. Tennis does not, and tennis is an international sport. Did you know there's a major going on in tennis right now? the
Phillip
best players
mentioned
come
it today.
together.
That's the only reason I know.
Well, that's the only person that would know would be Philip the Ref Pilkington. Like normal sports fans wouldn't know, and that's because tennis is not even on. Like, you have to search to find it. It's not on ESPN or it's not on. I mean, it's one of those deals. And then they'll meet in a few weeks in Wimbledon, and they'll meet in a few months in New York for the Open. And those are the things that's about the only time the world of tennis comes together. That's what golf was looking at with the majors. So we'll get into some of the audio from this. A couple of other things I wanted to mention before, and Brian Mull is going to be with us for analysis and reaction. We talked to Brian about all things golf. He's got a big initiative that they're working on, he and some other guys, but we'll tell you more about in the coming days. But and this sort of is a segue into this, the effort to legalize mobile sports gambling in North Carolina needs just one more vote by state lawmakers before heading to the governor for his signature. The House of Representatives agreed 67-42 to changes made by the Senate to HB 347. The House must vote to concur once again. That is scheduled for tomorrow. The last step for lawmakers in the process that has stretched out over a few years now. No debate on the measure Tuesday due to scheduling issues, but some debate is expected tomorrow, according to the House Speaker. The bill would allow betting on professional, college, and other sports on phones or other electronic devices. The Senate, of course, made a number of changes, 18% tax rate up from 14. Sports betting in person in sports books and horse racing has been added. The governor says he is in favor of legalization with certain parameters. Cooper telling reporters this morning, I'm generally supportive of the sports betting legislation, but we are continuing to look at it. So that is Governor Roy Cooper there, who, of course, fancies himself.
I love sports. You're looking at a big sports fan right here.
Yes. So we will see. Cliff Godwin will be with us tomorrow. We're going to have kind of a year wrap-up, look at the program, and talking about the seniors. Coach Godwin's always gracious with his time. So we're going to talk to him tomorrow, and we'll bring that to you right here on the Patrick Johnson Show on Wednesday. Wanted to get into some of that we had from Jay Monahan and the announcement that was made on CNBC this morning. And let's start with the first cut here, which is basically Jay Monahan talking about the parameters of or what exactly has happened here, what the deal is. Hit it.
I'm sorry, I have the structure one where he talks about the structure.
It's just the one that says Monahan and it's by itself without anything behind it. Monahan's that one. So play that one.
Give me a second. I got to pull that up.
All right. That's my best 60 minutes timer there, Cookie. All right, what do you have, Chris?
I have the one where he talks about the structure of it.
Okay, well, play that one. Let's get the structure of the deal.
The PIF will invest in NewCo, and importantly, as Yasser is quick to point out, there'll be an additional investment in growth initiatives. And that's what's really exciting here. There are two elements. To be unified as it relates to the tours, and then to be able to go out. You know, in our own model, David, we've been somewhat handicapped in that as the C6, we're a pass-through organization. Now to have this for-profit LLC, to have the PIF and Yasser investing in it, for him to serve on our board, to serve as chair of the board of NewCo, puts us in a position where we can go out and we can address some opportunities in the marketplace.
And to be clear, NewCo is LIV, it's PGA.
And the DP World
and
Tour.
It's DP
Yes.
World.
All right, I've got the cut here. I'm going to
PIF.
play locally that was sort of the announcement off the jump. The this morning on CNBC.
Today is it's a historical day for the PGA Tour and the game of golf. And it's a historical day for the PIF and the DP World Tour. And you're right. You know, there's been a lot of tension in our sport over the last couple of years. But what we're talking about today is coming together to unify the game of golf and to do so under one umbrella. And David, the way that we're doing that is we're creating a for-profit LLC that the PIF is going to invest in alongside the DP World. And together we're going to move forward and we're going to take efforts to grow and expand this great game and to take it to new heights. And so what's happened today, and to your earlier question, is we've recognized that together we can have a far greater impact on this game than we can working apart. And I give Yasser great credit for coming to the table, coming to the discussions with an open heart and an open mind. We did the same, and the game of golf is better for what we've done here today.
All right, Cookie, do we have the one with Yasser Al-Ramian?
Yes, we do.
All right, let's play that one.
Oh, who's one of the board members at the PGA Tour. And, you know, he just called me and introduced himself and said we would love for us to meet. And I asked him immediately, would you like us to sign an NDA? He said, no, there is no need. And that kind of trust is how we started the relationship. So we met in London. You know, we had a lunch, followed by the next day a round of golf, then another lunch. We had discussions. We covered everything. And one of the things that I said then, had we met 2 or 3 years ago, the impact that we will have in the game of golf would be lesser.
Why?
Because it would be something small. But the way we're doing our partnership, it's going to be really big in many senses. We will have both LIV and the PGA Tour in addition to all of our assets, and we will be investing in the growth of the game of golf and doing many new things that I think will have a better engagement from the players, the fans, the broadcasters, the sponsors, everyone else.
All right, so we're a little out of order. That was the head of the PIF who talked about how all this came about. Moynihan on the structure, and then his initial statement. So that's the background for all of this. Now, this all sounds well and good, but it comes down to money. And Moynihan saying on CNBC today had this to say, probably is the best way to put it, when he was asked what the PIF funding would be used for.
Our schedule itself, there's a lot of fragmentation. There's a lot of different golf organizations. That creates inefficiencies. We can address that, and we see real opportunity right in that alone. You look at the structure of the tour today. We've talked a lot about sports betting. We've talked a lot about our data business, our proprietary data business, and investments that we can make there, not only at the tour level, but also across our sport generally. We've got 29 clubs in our TPC portfolio. The real estate and club business, we think there's real opportunity, particularly when you look at it alongside some of the biggest tournaments in the world.
New events?
Yeah, we'll be investing.
Courses?
New events, new courses, new technology, new initiatives that are tied to growth of the game all over the world. But ultimately, David, if you're a player today or you're a fan today, the initial investment in time is going to be in looking out 10 years and what is the right structure for the game at the highest level. How do you inspire people to get there? How do you use the PGA Tour and the DP World Tour schedules today, the innovation that the PIF has put into LIV Golf, team golf in particular, and how do you move forward in a way where you're not only bringing the sport to more people as it relates to the highest expression of it at the men's professional game, but additionally, you're finding a way to bring team golf to a much broader audience around the world.
And on the screen there, the guys put up the merger deal with LIV and the PGA and had Harold Varner III. So I guess this means that Harold will have an opportunity to be a member of the PGA Tour again. There's a lot of unanswered questions, but this is probably one of the bigger moments in sports, to be quite honest with you, today. So, tell you what, we will break. We'll come back. Brian Mull will be with us. Covers golf. Golf writer. We'll talk to Brian about lots of things, how this came about, what this means, et cetera, et cetera. All of that is coming up. We'll get his reaction to this and see if he's been able to glean anything from this players-only meeting, which is still ongoing from what we can tell with the PGA commissioner and the players. All right, a timeout and more on this with Brian Mull. We've also got some other things to get into today, so stay with us.
IBX Media app. Get it now in the App Store or Google Play.
Greenville's premier Uptown Concert Series returns.
Concert on the Comet.
This year's acts include The Embers, featuring Craig Woolard, June 29th.
For more details and a full lineup of bands, go to concertonthecommon.org.
Greenville's premier Uptown Concert Series returns.
Concert on the Comet.
This year's acts include the Leonard Skinner Tribute.
Hello, Eastern North Carolina. I'm Matt Marshall. We really do. We have something. One, supply and demand. There are many Matt, I know there's a lot of things you can got a great lease special on the road. Great time to come take advantage of these lease
See dealer for details.
For
just $9. Patty melt with all the fixins. On Thursday. $9. The Friday $9. Or casual lunch with friends. Building.
Just one place with Meineke. Meineke There are 4 times Meineke is my favorite part of America. My second participating locations.
This is the Patrick
All right. So I trying to see if there's any word on these meetings. There's I guess some people who are claiming things on Twitter. I don't know. We will see. Brian Mull covers the sport of golf at BG Mull on Twitter. He joins us on the phone here on the Patrick Johnson Show. When we got the news this morning, I think we both were in a little bit of disbelief at first, but you went right into digging into the article, probably deeper than a lot of your colleagues did initially. And obviously, I know you've been working the text this afternoon, like a lot of people have. So, what is the overall reaction to this from players, guys that you have worked with in the world of caddying, media guys, and just your reaction? Let's start there.
Hey, Patrick. Well, first of all, what the most fascinating day in the history of golf in my lifetime, for sure. This is obviously unprecedented news, and I think there's still a bit of confusion and disbelief on from the side of the PGA Tour members. I think from those on LIV Golf, there is celebration and justification in their decision to join that tour. But as far as the details, we do have a few details, but as far as what this is going to be called or what it's actually going to look like as far as what type of events, how many events, how many current events that we know that are PGA Tour events that will continue, all of those questions remain unanswered, and I guess the players are now coming out of a meeting with Jay Monahan there, the ones who are playing in the Canadian Open in Toronto this week. I don't know how much clarity or how much reporting will come out of that. I'm sure a few of them will talk, but, there's just a lot of layers, many, many layers to this. The PGA Tour is going to remain in control of this new tour. I think that's important, with a majority interest on the board and with the PGA Tour administering the golf tournaments. So I do think that aspect is important. And this is speculation, but to my understanding, after the 2023 season, neither the PGA Tour or the LIV Tour will exist, or the DP World Tour under those particular names. There will be one body running all the golf tournaments that we've come to know from those three tours.
But the events perhaps would be separate?
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly a procedure for those who are currently LIV members to reapply. And there would be sanctions and potentially and fines from that nature, things of that nature. That all will get, there will be more clarity on all of that going forward. But I think what we're going to have next year in 2024 will look unlike anything we've ever seen outside of the four majors in their normal spots.
Wow. Brian Mull is with us here. He covers golf at BG Mull on Twitter. He's written for many, many, many outlets. Soon we'll talk to Brian about an exciting project that he's currently working on, but that'll be a little down the road. Obviously, the transformative news today out of the world of golf is the big story today. So, Mull, let me ask you, what brought this about? What are you hearing as far as that? I know what the principal said earlier on CNBC, and we played a little bit of that earlier, but what kind of brought this about today?
I think Jay Monahan became more receptive to the meeting with the leader of the Saudi Public Investment Fund as he was going about the process of trying to secure long-term corporate sponsorship for existing events on the PGA Tour, which has lost three significant long-time sponsors in Honda, Dell, and the AT&T here in the last couple of years. In light of, he was having a hard time selling a product to longtime sponsors who wanted to know who's going to be in the field because of this new elevated event structure. And who can I take back to my board to convince them this is a good idea to continue the sponsorship when there's not going to be any stars necessarily in the field unless a couple just elect to play. And I think that was becoming a very, very difficult challenge. And the inability to fund those events was going to lead, probably in Monahan's mind, to more and more players pursuing or being open to the LIV option. So I think he felt like, from his standpoint, that he was on shaky ground there and needed to find a way to secure the funding to continue to keep control of golf, which he has done in many ways. And Greg Norman is going to be out by all accounts. He was not involved in these discussions. He was notified at the last minute. He is not, according to reports, not going to be involved going forward. So for Jay personally, that's a win. And the tour having the 51%. And now he has unlimited money to fund all the tours and all the levels of golf, from down to what we know now as the Korn Ferry Tour level to the DP World Tour, which had really struggled in recent years. And then I'm certain there'll be some events incorporated around the world, some of which are probably currently on the LIV circuit. But again, what all that's going to look like remains to be seen. And LIV's golf's structure was just not really resonating with enough people, I think. While they had some success with attendance, that doesn't pay the bills. And I think the 54-hole format and the lack of any type of television interest was concerning to the Saudis. And they felt like it was better to hitch their wagon to something that already was a little more stable, and to do that there had to be a bridge where those guys could come back and everybody could play, which Monahan and others can sell as a win for golf, and honestly it is for golf. There were some winners today in golf fans who are going to get to see the best players, needle movers, guys like Bryson DeChambeau and Brooks Koepka and Phil Mickelson, Dustin Johnson, competing again against the other best players more than 3 or 4 times a year. And I think anyone who's ranked top 300 in the world in professional golf who aspires to be probably is going to make more money in the next 5 years than they would have made in the last 5.
Gotcha. Including Harold Varner III, who's already made a boatload of money on the course this year. Brian Mull, LIV and PGA are unifying, and Mull is with us to talk about that today. I want to ask you about, because you follow a lot of amateur golf. You've covered what the Masters has done with women's golf and amateur golf. You follow the amateur scene in the state quite extensively. We keep hearing grow the game. Well, this is a cash grab. This is not growing the game. That's not the motivation. It's nice on a, PR statement. But how does this benefit people who are trying to make their way, that have an aptitude for this, that could try to make a tour? How does this benefit women's golf? How does this, in a sense, grow the game?
Yeah, I'm going to be very interested in seeing what funding trickles or is invested in the women's game. I think there's a great opportunity there. I know the Public Investment Fund certainly had some interest in moving in that direction. There had also been some rumors of potentially starting a LIV tour, LIV golf for women. I don't think that ever was able to really get any solid momentum or gain any footing. So I would hope that there's obviously money's not going to be, there's no shortage. There's plenty. There's enough to go around. And I would hope that this money would not only trickle down through the men's game, which was grossly underfunded, really you could say up forever. Going back to what golfers have been paid relative to the best tennis players on an individual basis, and then certainly what the 200th best football or basketball player can earn relative to what the 200th best golfer has been able to earn. And I think this is an opportunity where now, you're not going to be a top 300 or 400 player in the world and worried about losing money for the year because of your expenses, which was certainly the case not too long ago, a couple of years ago. So hopefully it does lead to more opportunities, more fun, more sponsorship money, more purse money for the women who, other than the U.S. Women's Open, play for much, much less than the men and have a very exciting product on their own and have their games in a really nice spot. especially with Rose Zhang winning last weekend, or debut after a stellar amateur career. So, but we'll hope that it leads to all of that, and that the charitable donations the PGA Tour has become famous for continue and are even expand.
Hey, let me ask you this. If you're Rory McIlroy this afternoon, what is going through your mind?
You have to be steaming. You have to be steaming because I really feel for Rory and a few others. And yeah, I mean, I know they've got a lot of money and they don't need it or whatever, but Rory in particular, because he was coerced or encouraged to be the mouthpiece for Monahan, for the tour, to, along with Tiger Woods, help rally the players together against LIV, and you know, to the detriment of his career, to the detriment of his golf game. He has not performed at the level that we know that he can the last couple of years, and it's been obvious just from looking at him and listening to him that there's a lot on his mind. And so he found out this morning, the same time everyone else did, apparently. No, you know, and I understand with mergers,
so did Tiger.
Clandestine, but you're talking about the two most influential guys you have in Tiger Woods and Rory, and they find out at the same time as everyone else. That's just really hard for me to believe. Like, I think business-wise and professionally, once the emotions die down, I think Monahan comes out looking like a winner here. But the problem is he has completely damaged, severed, fractured his trust with the players in what's supposed to be a players-run tour. And his personal relationships, I don't know if he can rebuild those, and because of that, I don't know if he can withstand this. That remains to be seen. You know, it just I don't know. We'll see. I don't know how much a player can tolerate being misled, and whether the additional income outweighs that.
You know, if you're Harold Varner, this is. I mean, you've taken the money. We're honest about why you took the money. You're still universally revered, and now you have a chance to get back on the PGA Tour in kind of the prime of your career. I mean, I think for someone like Harold, this is great news, and we're happy for HV3 because you and I have talked about it. He's still the same Harold from Gastonia. But let me ask you about Phil Mickelson, and I've always been a big Mickelson fan, and he's taken a lot of slings and arrows the last couple of years. Is this some justification for him in any way?
Well, and as we sit here today on June the 6th, 2023, a lot of the things that Phil took a lot of heat for saying in the last couple of years have come true. And he was motivated to change the way that golf operated at the professional level, especially at the top end of the professional level for the best players. And by all accounts, that has occurred today. I mean, we have an influx of money, guaranteed money, that has never before, which solves a lot of problems, answers a lot of questions, and the players ultimately will come out of this with even more control. I just think they'll have to. But there's no more competition either. So on the flip side of that, maybe they lose a little bit of control, but they're certainly their bank accounts are going to be padded. And Mickelson, by being the instigator, and look, sometimes it requires a revolution or a rebellion for there to be change, and he certainly was at the forefront of that and was willing to take the heat. But now he was looking pretty good and feeling pretty good about himself.
We got Brian Mull with us here. So how, they say the revolution will not be televised, right, Brian? How did all this stay under? Nobody had an idea this was going in the direction. There's going to be people who are claiming, well, somebody told me something. I mean, there's already a guy, and you know who he is, and I unfortunately know who he is. Oh, he's claiming, I was told something big was coming. Okay. So my question to you is, how did the golf media, which you're a part of, how did the golf media just totally not get a sniff of something was coming? And the timing of this today seems a little crazy too. I mean, it seems a little out of left field.
Yeah, poor Canadian Open. I mean, between being canceled by the COVID restrictions and just the National Open, one of the pillars of the community of the tour schedule, and now to have to certainly get pushed back into the background with this being the major story of the year, if not the decade. I think Monahan did such a incredible job of throwing everyone off of the scent with his repeated conversations and rebuttal of anything related to the Saudis public investment fund that nobody felt like it was within, the realm of possibility. Certainly not at this point. I think most media people felt like, yes, there could be a merger, but it would be more related to the direct failure of LIV. And while this could be interpreted as a partial failure of LIV, for the greater good of the professional golfers of the world and for the fans, this is most certainly a success. So I mean, I can't remember a story in this recent, that somebody hadn't sniffed it out. But apparently it was just a tight group of 4 or 5 people that were aware of it. Monahan had a couple lunches and a round of golf, and like many deals are made in this country and across the world, they came to a resolution, and Monahan said he knew within 10 minutes this guy he could do business with, but and $650 billion will certainly make you think that you could do business with someone.
I think you'll do what you got to do for $650 billion. I think look, it's money. It's money.
You might overlook some things.
What was the great quote you tweeted today? This was funny. I got a good chuckle out of this about the Bob Dylan thing.
Bob Dylan, is certainly a wise man in his own right, and he's written many great songs. But there was always a line from one that always sticks out. While money doesn't talk, it swears. Obscenity, who really cares? Propaganda, all is phony. That was from 1965, folks, and very accurate today on this day in 2023.
Money doesn't talk, but it swears, and there's a lot of swearing, I'm sure, today for various reasons. All right, anything else real quick before we say goodbye to you that in relation to this that we've not covered?
Just sit back and get your popcorn ready and watch the circus unfold. I mean, I'll give Golf Channel credit. They've done a terrific job. I don't think they've taken a commercial break in 4 or 5 hours this afternoon. And they've had everybody on, and now they're certainly one of the first to have some on-site reporting. So it'll be interesting to see the details that come out of this meeting. And but again, I think it's a win for golf fans. I mean, I personally have missed watching Brooks Koepka, Cam Smith, Dustin Johnson, Harold, so many guys compete week to week. I mean, certainly I've watched them play some on the LIV Tour, but it'll be great to have the best players competing against each other more often.
The other thing I'm going to say that LIV needs to take from this, or whatever they do television-wise, needs to take from the LIV coverage, and you can talk about the LIV coverage all you want, and it's just some of it's justified. They show golf shots. So
100%.
More golf.
I could not agree more.
More golf shots. Right.
They are geared. They have a product that's geared for the modern golf fan. They have a product that suits the game in 2023, and the tour could certainly, that would be a wise move to adopt as much of that as possible.
I think of that sky cam you see at every NFL game, and that on-field cam you see at NFL and MLB and that's all XFL stuff. And that was the thing that the NFL wisely took from the first incarnation of the XFL. So let's hope that whatever this winds up being, the PGA Tour and televised golf will take the enormous positives from a television standpoint that LIV has put forth and do it. All right. Thanks, Brian. We appreciate it.
Okay. Thank you, Patrick. Have a great day.
All right. Follow Brian Mull on Twitter at BG Mull. We're going to take a break. When we return from break, Cookie is going to be here with a sports update, and then we will wrap things up. So a timeout. We'll come back, and Chris Cook with the 94.3 The Game Pirate Report sports update for you.
The Patrick Johnson Show. Restaurant is where the fiesta never ends. Thursdays
insurance.
Our product choices.
What kind of choices are and we're talking about business. Insurance. And tell us the Gotta put that E on the town.
Peanuts have been growing and selling peanuts. Much has changed since 1919. Snacks and gifts? Look no further than Bertie County Peanuts. Small batch, hand-cooking, 100% guaranteed. Shop online at BertieCountyPeanuts.net and the shipping is now free. Visit them at Allen Stocks in Windsor. Bertie County Peanuts.
$1,000 to $10,000 immediately. Get your answer in less than an hour in most cases.
Clark Holmes is
The Design Center is now open and
Clark Holmes, building family traditions.
This is Chris Cook here with your 94.3 The Game Sports Flash Update. The PGA Tour has agreed to merge with Saudi-backed rival LIV Golf in a deal that would see the competitors move forward as a larger golf enterprise. The two entities signed an agreement that would combine the PGA and LIV commercial business into a new company. The agreement includes DP World Tour, also known as the PGA European Tour. Monahan talked about the structure of the new company.
The PIF will invest in NewCo, and importantly, as Yasser is quick to point out, there'll be an additional investment and growth initiatives. And that's what's really exciting here. There are two elements. To be unified as it relates to the tours, and then to be able to go out. You know, in our own model, David, we've been somewhat handicapped in that as the C6, we're a pass-through organization. Now to have this for-profit LLC, to have the PIF and Yasser investing in it, for him to serve on our board, to serve as chair of the board of NewCo, puts us in a position where we can go out and we can address some opportunities in the marketplace.
And to be clear, NewCo is LIV, it's PGA,
and the DP World
and
Tour.
It's DP
Yes.
World.
Frank Craig III has been named an assistant coach for the ECU volleyball program, according to an announcement by head coach Adler Augustin on Tuesday. Craig arrives in Greenville after serving as the head coach at Oral Roberts University for 3 seasons from 2020 to 2022. Duke has punched its ticket to the NCAA Baseball Super Regionals. The Blue Devils crushed number 10 seed Coastal Carolina 12-3 in the championship game of the Conway Regional. Duke will play Virginia in a best-of-3 series this weekend in Charlottesville for a spot in the College World Series. In other action, top-seeded Wake Forest will host Alabama for a best-of-3 series this weekend in Winston-Salem. Indiana State University will not host the NCAA Super Regional Baseball Tournament due to its commitment to host the 51st Indiana Special Olympics. ISU says there are not enough accommodations for both events at the same time. It will go on the road this weekend to play TC and Shrine in Atlanta. Membership voting continues through the end of June. The State House of Representatives voted 68-41 in favor of the new sports gambling bill earlier today with no debate allowed. The final House vote is expected tomorrow, which would mean it then passes to the General Assembly. Martin County schools will be unified under a single athletic program beginning next school year. The county confirmed the news in a press release. Riverside and South Creek will join at the middle and high school levels to play as Martin. And finally, in some NFL news, 2 Cleveland Brown players were robbed at gunpoint by 6 masked men, according to a police report. Police redacted the names of the victims in the incident report, but a team source confirmed that the 2 players were cornerback Greg Newsome II and defensive tackle Perion Winfrey. Neither was harmed during the incident, police stated. That'll do it for your 94.3 The Game Sports Update. This sports update is brought to you by Team Boneyard, an NIL initiative directly supporting Pirate student athletes. For info on how to donate, please visit teamboneyard.org. More of the Patrick Johnson Show on the other side of this quick timeout, right here on 94.3 The Game.
It's time to travel again, and it's time to reservations are available now. Business or leisure, gets you to Charlotte and then anywhere on the map. Check out the great rates offered at AA.com.
Staff are committed to fulfill staffing also does temporary to permanent. 252-364-87.
Texas Roadhouse, they not only want to be a restaurant, they also want you to know they love this community. From charity golf tournaments to their school support programs, Texas Roadhouse is there when the community needs them. Also, it doesn't steaks, ribs, chicken, you name it, it's legendary. Texas Roadhouse, Southwest
medicine solutions. QC Kinetics is the nation's restored naturally. This treatment if you have pain in your knees, advances in regenerative medicine. We're getting you towards the end of the show here today. A few more minutes this afternoon here on the Patrick Johnson Show. Cliff Godwin tomorrow on the program. We'll wrap up the ECU baseball season, 47 wins. Lots of things to talk about as far as the good from the season and where the Pirate program will be going as far as moving through the off season. So lots of things to talk with Coach G about tomorrow. We appreciate his time and look forward to having him on the show tomorrow. A couple of other notes. Cookie mentioned in the update that in Martin County, where Cookie's from,
oh yeah, Riverside, baby.
They're merging well, they've already merged schools once. We all remember that a couple years ago. It used to be Williamston High School and others, and they made Riverside out of a couple of schools, and I think Beargrass was involved in the others. So, I mean, it's one of those deals where schools are merging together to create other schools. Well, now, I guess South Creek. Cookie, where is South Creek?
It is in
I know it's in
Robertsonville.
Martin County.
And
Okay.
see, this is interesting because our biggest rivalry and the biggest game drew the biggest crowd, most like stuff in the town, huge deal in the town was Battle for the Paddle, South Creek versus Riverside. It was such a big deal in the town, like the small little town of Williamston, and that is no more. And they're now even together. It's just kind of weird to me.
So Beargrass Charter exists here in Martin County, and I'm sure they're drawing
That's
a
more
lot
of a
of
private
kids.
school, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, they're still drawing kids. I mean, private, public
yeah.
charter. I mean, they're drawing kids. So, I talked to some people over there today, and I guess things have been tough with South Creek. They haven't had a girls' basketball team, no track and field. So this essentially is going to be kids that attend both the schools would be able to kind of play on one team. And as Cookie said in the thing, Martin, I mean, I hate it that the schools won't have individual identity, but if it makes the athletic experience more complete and better for any of the kids involved, I think that's a great thing. So, yeah, I think there's probably there's some things, as you say, that you'll lose with this. Obviously, that rivalry game. But we already lost some of that when these other teams combined or schools combined to create two schools in Martin County a couple
the
years ago.
Williamston and Roanoke rivalry was another big rivalry that was put to rest.
Yeah. So now they'll all be singing from the same hymnal. And I just wonder, as it's interesting, the state continues to grow. I think it's the 10th most populous state now, if not the 9th, but it's somewhere in that range, 9, 10, maybe 11. I believe it's 10th. As North Carolina continues to grow, places like where Cookie grew up, where now the population has dwindled so much that they're having to combine to create one high school sports team. I have relatives, this happened to them in Illinois. Great little high school, community high schools, and the high schools still exist, but they kind of have created a co-op situation as well.
People want to live in cities now.
I don't know why. There was some talk a few years ago, not necessarily combining to make sports teams, but combining schools in Lenoir County, because Kinston High is this huge 4A, campus that is essentially a 1A school now, as far as its enrollment. And people there raised holy heck about not combining all of the schools, North Lenoir, South Lenoir, and Kinston. So, but I just think as long as we continue to move on and you don't have some kind of economic anchor in the eastern part of North Carolina that causes true growth, and so that's some form of manufacturing, it's going to be tough for small communities to see this happen to them. I think we're going to see more of it, unfortunately. We do have some good news to share. Contavious Street, now with the Eagles, and, of course, played at Rose and then NC State, went to the pros. Our pal Cornell Powell, they're both going to be holding football camps, separate camps next month. We're going to get in touch with the guys here over the next couple of days and get them booked for next week or the week after to promote their camps coming up and talk some NFL with them. So,
when we had Cornell on last year, he's a genuinely nice guy, super cool guy.
Great guy. Yeah, Cornell's excellent. So he's fantastic, and looking forward to having Cornell on there. Speaking of Kinston, Brandon Ingram, the Kinston native, Kinston High alum, played at Duke that one year, has committed to Team USA in basketball, so that's a good thing. Happy for Brandon Ingram on that front. So that's what he'll be doing this summer, and that's what he'll be doing in advance of getting ready for the Olympic Games next year. So that's great. I think that's an awesome honor. So happy for Brandon Ingram there. Well, the big story today, the PGA Tour, the DP World Tour, and the Public Investment Fund, a.k.a. LIV Golf, have merged commercial operations under common ownership. This means Harold Varner III, you might see him in more PGA events. It'll be interesting to see if these LIV guys play an expanded schedule, because they've performed, the guys that can still go perform very, very well in the majors so far, and they say it's because they're not as worn down on that consistent week in, week out schedule. This will be interesting to see. This is a pretty big deal and a landmark day in not just golf, but I think sports. And I think where the future of sports globally are going to be heading. I mean, the Saudis could buy the NBA, not an NBA team. They could buy
it's
the
that
NBA.
oil money, man.
I mean, that's not going anywhere despite efforts. That stuff's not going anywhere anytime soon. All right. Big thanks to Brian Mull for being on with us today. We'll be back tomorrow with Cliff Godwin. Looking forward to having CG on the show. Lots to talk about with him. And we'll have a lot more as we move on throughout the week here on the Patrick Johnson Show, and great guests coming up over the next couple of weeks as well. So appreciate Chris Cookie, for his help today. Clark Willis as well. Thanks to Clark. And we will be back in the morning on Talk of the Town. Catch us there, 103.7, 96.3, and the new IBX Media app. And back here tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern, live. 94.3 The Game, 94.3thegame.com, and the IBX Media app. Have a great evening, everybody.
Hear 94.3 The Game anytime on the IBX Media app. Download it for free in the App Store or Google Play and get to your favorite radio station in 2 clicks. All your sports, music, talk, and podcasts. Listen live anytime, anywhere to ENC Radio's best on the IBX Media app.
This is the Pirate Report on 94.3.
Hear 94.3 The Game anytime on the IBX Media app. Download it for free in the App Store or Google Play and get to your favorite radio station in 2 clicks. All your sports, music, talk, and podcasts, including the latest from Stephen Igo at Hoist the Colors and year-round coverage from the East Carolina Sports Network. Listen live anytime, anywhere to ENC Radio's best on the IBX Media app. Hear 94.3 The Game anytime on the IBX Media app. Download it for free in the App Store or Google Play and get to your favorite radio station in 2 clicks. All your sports, music, talk, and podcasts. Listen live anytime, anywhere to ENC Radio's best on the IBX Media app.
That'll do it for your 94.3 The Game Pirate Report. I'm Philip Pilkington.
Filters. Instead of standard filters, these have an electrostatic charge which attracts particles of dust, pollen, and bacteria.
Hear 94.